Remember, don't try this at home.
We've got years of experience that keeps us safe.
Yeah, look at that!
On this episode of MythBusters,
I'm so excited, I just can't stand it.
Jamie and Adam do a little painting and detonating.
You gonna paint your house with explosives? That's crazy!
When they ask the question, can you decorate with dynamite?
Fire in the hole!
And the build team go mental when they test mind control techniques.
I'm ready to make him take his bray out.
Who are the MythBusters? Adam Savage and Jamie Heineman.
Aren't tracer rounds illegal?
Between them, over 30 years special effects experience.
That's what I'm talking about!
Joining them, Tori Belleci,
Science is fun.
Carrie Byron,
Guess what I did today?
and Grant Imahara.
You guys ready for this?
They don't just tell the myths, they put them to the test. After extensive research, watching old TV reruns, Adam and Jamie have lit the fuse on a myth of explosive proportions. Attempting to take the pain out of painting, Mr. Bean shows us a home improvement shortcut. A bucket of paint, the mythical stick of dynamite, and the perfect paint job.
So that's our task. This British comedy show, the guy is lazy, doesn't want to paint his room, puts a stick of dynamite in a gallon of paint and blows it up, and that's going to paint the whole room.
You know, it's a chance for us to do some creative exploding of things, and I think we could have a lot of fun with it.
To recreate the myth, they'll need a small room, a gallon of paint, one unlucky neighbor for the human silhouette, and a dash of dynamite.
What's the plan?
Well, because it'd sort of defeat the purpose of this whole thing if you blew up the actual house that you were trying to paint in the process of using explosives to spread the paint.
Yeah.
So I think we should use a real house, like we did in Bug Bomb.
Big boom, big boom, big boom!
In Bug Bomb, they used a real house and did some real damage. But with house prices heating up, they'll have to build a house of their own.
That's what we're talking about!
To stick to the myth, their property needs just one property. It has to have the structural integrity of a real home.
One of the first questions that comes up in looking at this myth is, can a room withstand an explosion? An explosion big enough to paint that room.
So there'll be no shirking on quality. Because when the paint hits the walls, they don't want to blow the house down.
Now we're on the construction phase. We got to build this house to blow things up in, and we can't just build the whole thing and take it on a truck. We got to build it in pieces.
The modular house includes 2 floor and ceiling sections, which Jamie tackles, and Adam assembles the 4 sheetrock walls. Note the difference in styles.
Dude, this is rocking this thing. That is some cool ass.
They're done and on schedule.
This has convinced me to hire someone else to do the renovation in my house.
And with the neighbors a little sensitive about dynamite in the backyard, our team of painters and detonators pack up and head for the Alameda County Bomb Disposal Range.
Hold on. Don't tell me.
So you checked the height on this, right?
It's a miracle!
The team load up and find that it's not the size of the house you erect, but whether it fits in the truck.
I understand you guys have a real mind bender of a story here.
Yeah, we're actually going to test the classic conspiracist favorite of government mind control.
Well, that could be all sorts of things, couldn't it? I mean, like hypnosis, for example, or I know they did some testing where they put electrodes into your brain, they put a little current through it, they can make you do certain things.
Look into the hypnotic eye.
It's long been a sci-fi favorite. In the 1950s, mind control was a recurring theme in B-movies, where women became the playthings of a psychic psycho.
Your body is growing stiff.
Today, conspiracy theorists claim governments still use an array of mind control techniques to have their wicked way with Joe Public.
Well, yes, it could be many, many things, but ethically here on MythBusters, we can't go around putting chips in people's heads. So we're going to start right off from the beginning and define it very narrowly. And our definition of mind control is a device which can remotely influence a person's behavior without their knowledge or their consent.
We're also going to use the criteria that you guys used on free energy. We're only going to use plans, kits, or patents that we can find on the web. And there are a lot of them.
Mind control follows the well-trodden MythBusters path of Oogie Boogie myths. Wow. Adam and Jamie established the genre when they tested and busted the conspiracy theory that government microchips were being secretly planted in blood donors.
All right, Grant, so we have 3 kits that we got off the internet for mind control. One here is psionic helmet. We got here an electronic hypnotizer, and then this is a silent sound mind control device. Which one do you think you want to do first?
Well, I do the electronic stuff all the time, so I think I'm most interested in the psionic helmet. This is the psionic helmet, and I am not exactly sure what principle it works on, but if I would have to guess, I think it would be able to enhance my own inherent telepathic ability.
At $290, the build-it-yourself kit consists of, let's face it, a bicycle helmet and a wooden dowel wrapped in lead and topped with a crystal. But there's more to it than that. According to the plans, the psychic powers of the crystal rod require fine-tuning, so Grant wires it up to a couple of control knobs. And the helmet's ready for action.
Jamie and Adam are coming over here to do a blueprint. I'm going to see if I can use the helmet to influence Jamie to remove his beret.
The beret one is unaware that he's the subject of a psychic experiment. Then he spots the hat.
Hi, Jamie.
What you doing?
Nothing. Did you have a good weekend?
Tori attempts casual conversation while trying to tune in the psionic helmet. Jamie's baffled, but Tori's feeling the force.
That was perfect, because as we have a conversation, I was able to dial into his psychic energy. He has no clue. Now I'm ready to make him take his beret off.
For 90 minutes, Tori summons up all his powers of concentration, but Jamie's beret stays firmly on his bumps.
My opinion right now is that the psionic helmet is totally busted, but I'm not going to give up yet. I'm going to keep trying.
Still to come, Tori is allowed out in public. But next, Adam and Jamie prepare to paint the house down.
So excited, I just can't stand it.
Jamie and Adam are taking on Mr. Bean and tackling the explosive TV myth, can you really decorate with dynamite? And for that, they pack up and head out of town.
I'm sitting in a crater at the Alameda County Sheriff's Department bomb range, or as I like to refer to it, the happiest little place on earth.
Hey guys. Hey, good to see you again. Good to see you again.
Joining Adam and Jamie for the TNT party are fellow explosive enthusiasts, Sergeant J.D. Nelson of Alameda County Bomb Squad and retired FBI agent Frank Doyle.
Well, the main thing I'm concerned with about this test is whether or not our room, which is built to code, building code, whether it's going to hold up to a stick of dynamite in the middle, or is it just going to, like, you know, blow out?
With the quantity of explosives we're going to use, I would say that the room will probably hold together, but don't hold me to that.
Okay.
Before they put FBI Frank's prediction to the test, they have to assemble their very own little house on the bomb range.
I'm putting the foundation down.
Cue the build sequence. And with a little help from the post-production department, they finish in record time.
Remember, kids, I've got health insurance.
After Adam comes back to Earth, he and Jamie check out their handiwork. The location could be a problem. After all, who wants a room with a view of the bomb range? But with a little interior decorating, it'll be home sweet home.
We built a house in a half a day. It ain't pretty, but I think maybe it'll dress up with a nice coat of paint.
To match the myth, the explosion has to completely cover the room in paint, except for the human silhouette. Jamie couldn't find a real volunteer to stick around while the dynamite detonates, so he volunteers Rescue Randy the Simulade.
I'm going to hang the Simulade. I'm going to put them about here because we want to get one of these sort of patterns on the wall from the spray of paint. Hopefully.
Adam takes care of the paint placement, but with a slight deviation from the clip.
I took the paint out of its metal can and put it in a plastic bucket because, well, the sheriff's department, the owners of the bomb range, the FBI are all a lot more comfortable if we don't have metal creating shrapnel and we just use a plastic bucket full of paint. Makes a lot more sense to them.
Which leaves just one key ingredient, the dynamite. And arson investigator Joe Conafal arrives just in time. But he's not here to arrest Adam and Jamie for their history of explosive exploits. He's the man with the bang.
What we have is a plastic container that contains 1/3 pound of...
And that's about as much as we can tell you. Of course, even if you should happen to have the ingredients and blasting cap for a binary explosive, please don't try this at home.
So in the clip we're working from, it looks like he's putting a stick of dynamite or something equivalent to a stick of dynamite in this bucket of paint. Is this roughly equivalent to that?
Actually, it's depending on what type of dynamites. There's a whole bunch of dynamites, but this is pretty hot stuff. This actually detonates right around 21,000 feet per second.
21,000 feet.
This is
that's like more than 10 times as fast as a bullet.
Yes, it would be.
Wow.
There's no turning back.
The bucket of paint is in position. JD lays out the firing line. Non-essential personnel are cleared from the area. The blasting cap is attached to the explosive, which, just like the myth, is simply placed in the paint. And finally, the firing line is attached to the blasting cap. With the system hot, the anticipation builds.
I'm so excited, I just can't stand it.
There's just one question. Who's the button man?
Heads. Heads it is.
Give me my quarterback.
With Adam's finger twitching, JD clears the area and...
Fire in the hole! Fire in the hole!
Everyone gets serious.
What does this do?
Well, almost everyone. It's go time. Painting with explosives.
And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Tori has been trying to get his head around taking Jamie's hat off.
Playing with your knobs.
But the beret remains firmly in place. Meanwhile, Grant has been busy assembling the 2 other mind-altering devices he found on the internet. First, the electronic hypnotizer. Believe it or not, its flashing light and pulsing tone can supposedly send people into an hypnotic trance.
The tones go from very fast and very high pitch to very slow and drony. Mostly they're just really annoying.
Next, Grant tackles every conspiracy theorist's favorite, subliminal sound.
This device works on audio. It takes your voice commands and embeds them in some kind of music or other program material, audio program material.
Subliminal messaging.
That's cool.
From the subliminal back to the ridiculous, Tori takes to the road to try out the psionic helmet on the American people.
We are on a serious mission to test the mind control device, so we're going to take it out into the public. We're going to go to one of our favorite coffee shops. We're going to test it there, see if it works.
Tori's psychic master plan is to place an order without moving his lips.
He's all set with drinks? Yeah, with some lunch.
General Manager Rachel Law plays along, suspecting this guy in the helmet may have escaped from an institution.
Double espresso? Cappuccino? Juice squeeze? Coffee?
She runs through every beverage on the menu, except the one that Tori is trying to project.
Espresso? Half sandwich and soup?
All right, give me a mocha.
Mocha. Single?
Make it two.
All right.
So you didn't get the message of mocha.
No. We did. They did.
That's so weird. We were thinking, God, that guy wants a mocha. I can't even figure it out. Are you sure you didn't have it pointed the right way?
Yeah, you must have had it on backwards.
Right? That's what happened.
Tori's fooling no one. If they want to test mind control properly, they're going to have to quit the clowning around. Coming up on their quest for mental manipulation, Grant excites his half-hurt sensory resonance.
I should be feeling tension or sexual arousal.
And is the Mr. Bean myth decorating with dynamite all busted up?
Kind of hard on the room.
Back at the Alameda Bomb Range, Adam and Jamie are about to test an explosive home improvement myth.
My money's on that this is going to cover roughly 30 to 40% of the room with yellow paint.
It's DIY MythBuster style. Not so much do-it-yourself, more detonate it yourself.
It all comes down to that moment when you hit the switch, and then either it works or it doesn't.
If it doesn't work, there's always take two. If it does work, you'll get the I can't believe I do this for a living laugh.
3, 2, 1.
There's the explosion. And there's the laugh.
I don't think I'd want to be in that room. I think it got a little larger.
It may have got larger, but what about the paint job, the state of the room after the blast, and was there any of a simulated silhouette?
Whoa!
It was kind of hard on the room.
That's hilarious. Well, I think we set everything up just right, and when we set off the explosives, the first thing it did was destroy this room. The second thing is, it only covered about 40%. I mean, both of those bust this thing wide open. It's not possible with something that's equivalent to a stick of dynamite to paint a room. There's your table.
But what about the human silhouette? There's no outline to speak of. And more importantly,
if you were in this room, I would say you would go from something like a chuck roast to a filet mignon. In other words, you'd be very tenderized. MythBusted.
Yeah. Shockingly. What we saw on television is not replicatable in reality.
Having said that, I think there are ways that we can replicate the results of the myth and still keep to the spirit of it.
So Mr. Bean and his bucket bomb are busted. But back at the workshop, these painter and detonators aren't giving up yet. They think with a little MythBuster ingenuity, they can dream up a design to get that perfect paint job.
I'm thinking about small-scale experiments to try and ferret out the best technique.
Yeah, I think we definitely need to go small scale, and personally I don't really have an idea of what I want to do, but working incrementally through it, I think, is the answer.
Yeah, so it's time for some creative conflagration. To learn more about how paint is distributed by explosion, they'll need to set up for small-scale bench tests. Let's come back when they're ready. In the myth of mind control, Grant and Tori have been putting a so-called psionic helmet through its paces. In theory, it works by enhancing the wearer's own psychic ability. But in practice, it's done zip. It's time to inject a little more science into the proceeding.
I think what we need to do is build some kind of a chamber that isolates the subject, gets rid of all the distracting variables, so that way we can kind of see if there is any influence that these mind control devices are having.
Also, I mean, they all claim to affect the brain waves in some way. So I would really like to get an EEG in here and hook it up, because that is how they measure brain waves in medicine.
EEG machines monitor the working of the human brain in real time. A network of electrodes detects minute changes in electromagnetic energy, released when neurons in the brain fire. So using one to measure mind control is a bit of a brainwave.
This is perfect, because if we could see that these mind control devices affects any bit of the brainwave, that there might be some validity to this mind control stuff.
So they get to work building an isolation chamber in which they'll test out various devices on an unsuspecting subject who'll be wired up to an EEG machine. As well as creating a test arena, they're also on the hunt for more mind control products. They will test out Carrie's hypnotizer. Grant has been trawling through a pile of plans from the patent office.
Well, we started with a patent search because these 94 patents constitute evidence that conspiracy theorists use to say that the government is in fact conducting mind control experiments.
All right, Grant, so you had all day and all night. Did you narrow it down?
Yeah, I've chosen two. One has to do with pulsed air, and the other has to do with a rotating bar magnet. And both of them excite the half-hertz sensory resonance.
Machines that pulse a weak electromagnetic field once every 2 seconds can supposedly excite the brain's half-hertz sensory resonance, leading to feelings of tension, sleepiness, or even sexual excitation.
So out of all 94, these are the two that you think are the best for us to try?
Yes, these were the two easiest things to build, and they sounded like they had the highest chance of success.
Grant swings into action on the rotating magnet device. Apparently, this spinning magnet is ideal to stimulate that half-hertz sensory resonance, as long as you get the speed spot on.
And in fact, it's got to go really slow, half hertz, which means 1 revolution every 2 seconds. That's about right.
Meanwhile, Tori is struggling with the concept of the pulsed air machine.
I'm building a subliminal acoustic simulator. No, generator, manipulator, nervous system, manipulator. I'm manipulating the nervous system, and what I'm trying to do is manipulate that frequency by changing the atmospheric pressure.
Tori might not be able to say subliminal atmospheric acoustic pulses, but he can rig up a fan to make them.
All right, so I've installed my my wind interrupter, and I'm about to attach the fan. And if you want to take a look here, I'll show you how it works. Each time this disc rotates, it'll break the airstream.
The fan blows air exactly once every 2 seconds. The magic half-hertz cycle that causes sensory resonance in the subject. But unfortunately, the rig sucks. Literally.
Oh, man. The fan backwards. It's sucking out instead of blowing in. I'm going to have to flip the fan.
Tori flips. The fan, that is. And at last, everything's in place for the great mind control marathon. Next on MythBusters, the build team tests the EEG machine and look into Carrie's mind.
It's cool. It works.
And then, attempting to prove you can paint with explosives, Adam and Jamie make a mess.
That was a little more energetic.
We're about to see at home.
Adam and Jamie know all about the Big Bang Theory. For gratuitous use of TNT, look no further.
Well, there's your problem.
But today, it's all about subtlety. With a small-scale mock-up, they're using their explosive nous to paint a one-room house. This blast chamber will contain the explosions, and the white walls will illustrate the paint coverage.
That's beautiful.
With standard 5-gram packets of black powder and a set volume of paint, the determining factor will be the delivery device. Their first test is a control using a replica of Mr. Bean's bucket bomb. A repeat of yesterday's results, and they know their scale setup is accurate.
In 3, 2, there's just as likely nothing's going to happen, but here we go. 1. Hey! That was fabulous.
Well,
all right. You got to see this. That's great.
Yep, with 40% of the room splattered unevenly, they've made the same mess as yesterday.
Here's what I'd like to do. I think you've got a couple of ideas, and I've got a couple of ideas. I'd like to make, using the 5 grams of powder, I'm going to try something.
okay.
And why don't you try something, and we'll run a couple more tests. You can easily fit it in before the end of the day and see if we can't get better coverage.
Okay.
So, Adam and Jamie are two devotees of detonation face off for a blast-off. Adam's approach utilizes tubes of paint, with a straw packed with black powder suspended in the middle.
In 3, 2, 1.
That was a little more energetic.
That was. Well, I definitely got the middle of the room. Yeah, take a look at that. It's almost like just looking at this band where my charge was, that in order to use this method to paint the whole room, you'd need a column of paint and explosives, the height of the exact room.
Jamie's idea is based on the mortar. A metal vessel will hold and direct the paint. An explosive charge beneath the paint will provide the spray.
Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Well, that worked just like you said it would.
Well, not perfectly even, but that's the most even spray that we got. So it's clear that making something very directional, like a cannon, is somewhat effective.
It's time to scale up. Adam has some good information for his tube of paint idea. And Jamie's berate brain is bubbling away with grand designs involving clusters of pyramid-shaped mortars. Our mind control masterminds have turned M5 into a psychic observation center. They've built an isolation chamber and several mind control devices which they're about to test with the help of an EEG machine.
Behind me here, we have mission control. We have our audio and visual feeds so we can see exactly what's going on with our subject inside the isolation chamber. We also have a monitor which is going to show us their brain waves, and we can see if there's any sort of odd activity when we're doing our tests.
Everything is set, but before they try the mind control devices, Carrie volunteers to make sure the EEG machine works. But she could be in for a shock.
Hand me a bobby pin, I'll tie this in a knot.
Stylist Grant Imahara has come up with a new look, which involves electrodes and conductive paste.
You're doing great, Carrie. You're really...
Dude, you sound like the dentist.
You're doing great.
Whenever they're putting you through something painful.
Okay, so now we're going to do your ear. It's going to be weird. Ready? You just chill out here. And relax. I'll let you know when it's done.
Okay.
As she settles, her neural activity decreases and stabilizes. But with the baseline established, Tori and Grant can't resist playing mind games with Carrie.
We can see what's going on in her brain.
Yeah, hang on. Okay, ready? Go ahead. Good. It's cool. It works.
Grant's seen enough, and what he's seen, he likes.
We did see a huge spike in the response when Tori kicked the door. So that indicates that the system is working.
I'm glad we know how to use it now.
So it's all go for mind control. They have a working EEG machine that will quantify any changes in the subject's brainwave activity. An important consideration, because the 5 devices may be having an effect without any visible outward signs. It's time to get down to business. He's the only one in M5 still in the dark about the mind control experiments, so he qualifies for the job.
How do you feel about high voltage shocks? on myself or others?
That's the right answer. John might actually make mind control material. After the break, John gets buzzed.
Do you have the bees ready?
And Jamie and Adam complete their paint bomb prototypes.
And the world is my oyster to paint.
After carefully replicating Mr. Bean's painting with dynamite myth, Adam and Jamie have blown it away.
Right off the bat, Jimmy, I think this one's busted.
But this explosive tale is not over yet. The guys believe they have the designs to make it work. Jamie is working on a cluster of 5 pyramid-shaped paint mortars, one for each wall and the ceiling. Meanwhile, Adam has built a pool raft for a short, thin person.
I gotta tell you, right off the bat, I'm really liking that. See, what I'm thinking of is I use a thin strand of det cord, which is detonation cord or primer cord. It's basically like an explosive rope. It's an extremely high-speed detonation, which should vaporize the paint much more efficiently than black powder. So what I do is I wrap several, like a gallon's worth of tubes of paint around a central core of det cord, and the world is my oyster to paint.
Back with Jamie, and his careful design work has paid off.
Each set of 4 triangles goes to make what is known in the industry as a pot in the pyrotechnics industry. And the pot will have a charge at the bottom of it and a blob or a bag of paint in front of it. And these things are fairly precisely calculated to aim that paint when the explosives goes off out onto a wall. That I will weld together quite nicely.
After hours slaving over a hot welder, Jamie has the finished product. A carefully crafted 5-way paint mortar.
Well, should be fun.
Well, I guess it's time to get back out there. Both of our devices are ready. All we got to do is do a little bit of rebuilding on that house.
Yeah, I've got my device, which is going to paint each individual wall a separate color.
Yeah, because of that, I'm worried that you're actually going to blow out some of the walls with this. So I'm going to go mine first. The paint tubes, I think, should be the first test.
Well, we got a lot of work to do. Let's get at it.
All right, cool.
So it's back to Alameda County Bomb Disposal Range to meet Frank,
I'm glad we left the building roughly standing.
where the house that Adam and Jamie built needs to be rebuilt.
This is, without a doubt, returning to the scene of the crime. I gotta somehow make this building salvageable and reusable within the next 90 minutes. Oh, whoa. I'm not used to the terrain.
He may look like a newborn giraffe, but with screw gun in hand, Adam is on sounder footing.
Could I have another string of nails? And I need another sheet of drywall.
Managing just fine without stilts, Jamie has fixed up the roof. and using the forklift, he slides it into place.
Oh, that is good stuff.
The room is ready. Rescue Randy is ready. And Adam steps up to the plate.
This is my super simple solution for attempting to meet all the criteria that we see in the Mr. Bean episode, i.e. a perfectly evenly coated room, a perfect outline of a person who was in that room, and a room that's still standing. This is tubes of, I think this is 4 or 6 mil polyethylene, heat sealed into long tubes filled with paint. It's a half gallon up here and half gallon down here. They're thinned down with water, and running up the center of them, this orange stuff is, I think it's a 50 grain detonation cord.
Adam's bag of paint is in position, and after the bomb techs prepare the detonation cord for the blasting cap, we're ready to blow.
Fire in the hole! Fire in the hole! Fire in the hole!
As the team hunker down in the bunker, there's time for an expert prediction from Jamie.
What the f*** do I know what kind of coverage is going to do? There's going to be some paint that'll get on the wall, and it's not going to be that even.
Painting with explosives in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Help.
Back in the realm of mental manipulation, and John the researcher is the lucky lab rat. The build team are attempting to bend his brainwaves from outside the isolation chamber. They have 4 mind control devices to try, but first they establish his EEG baseline. 5 minutes without stimuli, and John's baseline is looking steady. Time to fire up the first mind-molding machine.
The interrupters.
They run the pulsed air experiment for 10 minutes, keeping one eye on John's behavior and the other on his brainwave patterns. These atmospheric pulses are supposed to excite John's half-hertz sensory resonance. The effects can range from sleepiness to sexual excitation. To Grant and Tori's untrained eye, John appears unaffected. He hasn't fallen asleep and doesn't look excited. But for confirmation his brainwaves haven't been affected, we'll have to wait for the EEG results to come back from the experts.
I feel good. Good. Do you have the bees ready?
It's time for the rotating magnet. Just like the pulsed air machine, it's supposed to excite the half-hertz sensory resonance. So Tori and Grant are once again looking for changes in either John's brainwave activity or his behavior. But once again, John looks unmoved. 2 tests down, and the only sign of a result are Tori's delusions of power.
Don't change the channel.
Next, Tori gets a subliminal boost to his bank balance.
Give Tori your money.
And Jamie and Adam finally light the fuse on their home improvement myth.
You gonna paint your house with explosives? That's crazy.
Back at the psychic circus, Grant and Tori have subjected John to the rotating magnet and pulsed air. Next up is the subliminal sound device. This device apparently works by sending out a secretly encrypted audio message that can only be heard by the unconscious mind.
Go. Touch nose. Touch nose. Touch nose.
8 minutes in, and it's Tori, not John, who starts to crack.
Touch your nose, you little punk. I swear to God, you better touch your nose. Touch nose. Touch nose. Touch nose. Don't make me come in there. Touch your nose.
John's nose remains untouched, and it's time for the final test. Next is Carrie's electronic hypnosis. This flashing light and tone apparently combine to induce an hypnotic state, which we'll be able to see on the EEG.
Next thing we're going to do is make the pitch a little bit lower now, because right now it's kind of annoying and fast.
There's a jump in his brainwave.
This time, John's brainwaves are clearly affected. And distracted by the pulsing tone themselves, Tori and Grant miss what could be the most significant result of the experiment so far. John touches his nose. Was it a delayed reaction to the subliminal sounds? Or just an itch? The jury assembles, and it's time for the results.
I gotta tell you, I really thought this was going to be a pyramid power waste of your time, but it sounds like you might have gotten some real results on this mind control thing. The first one up is Psionic Helmet.
Psionic Helmet totally works.
No.
No, just kidding. No, it's until you can prove ESP, you're not going to be able to test this one, so we're calling this one busted.
Not surprisingly, a crystal mounted on a bicycle helmet does not give the wearer a third eye.
Okay, pulsed air.
The pulsed air, it didn't show any effects on the brainwaves, and there's no real scientific evidence that proves that it works.
So far, it's a waste of time.
The results from the EEG experts showed the rotating magnet may have had an effect on John's brainwaves.
Rotating magnets.
Now, the rotating magnet actually did have an effect on John's brain waves while it was spinning. However, there's a slight possibility that it was affecting the EEG itself. There is scientific evidence to say that direct electrical stimuli can influence behavior. So we're going to call this one plausible.
So with the score at 2 busted and 1 plausible, what were the results for silent sound? Although John did eventually touch his nose, it was during the final test with the hypnotizer. Plus, the expert analysis of the EEG readings came back negative, proving silent sound is busted, and it really was just an itch.
Okay, hypnosis.
Well, we did see a change in John's brainwave. There's evidence to suggest that remote hypnosis does work, so this one is also plausible.
But it's a really limited effect, and like all of these mind control devices, they're not sophisticated enough to, say, make you buy more popcorn or drink more soda
Or kill the president.
Yeah.
So that's it. We can all sleep safely in our beds. The final score is 3 busted, 2 plausible, and 1 more mind-boggling myth laid to rest. Jamie and Adam are having a blast. Their quest to paint with explosives has led to 2 very different designs. Adam is first, and he's painting by numbers. The numbers are
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I see a lot of green. And the building's still standing.
Well, that's a good.
That is a very good thing.
Let's go look.
Are we clear to look?
Let's have a look. Well, there's paint on all the cameras. But what about the walls?
Oh, man.
Yep, the walls have a coat of paint, but is it any good?
I thought it would be a little better than that.
The detonation cord looks like it was ideal. It spread the paint in a fine mist without damaging the walls. But it's not a perfect paint job.
Coverage, total crap, unfortunately.
Yep, that we can see. So how about some analysis?
You think that it makes sense to your brain that you like get some dynamite near paint and that paint's just going to go everywhere. But in fact, actually, it's quite obvious from looking at this. And from the explosion, there's a pressure wave, and it travels in a very predictable pattern, 360 degrees from the point of detonation. And if you don't have paint in its way all the way around in equal amounts, you're going to get screwed. I'm hoping that fans have a real problem with this and email everybody about it so we get to revisit it.
Before you send in those emails, Jamie still has to launch his pyramid paint bomb.
Well, are you ready to set up yours?
Yeah.
Mythbuster pride is on the line. Jamie and his pyramid paint bomb is the team's last chance for success. Precision is the cornerstone of Jamie's design. And as the actress said to the bishop,
Dude, 1 more inch.
That's dead center. Next, our explosive experts help give this paint bomb its bang. Through each of the 5 pots, they feed separate pieces of detonation cord. The blast is concentrated by tying them into a knot. Now to load the ammunition.
Are you going to try and coat each wall a different color?
That's the plan.
Excellent.
With 5 half-gallon paint bombs ready to pop, Jamie carefully tapes them into position.
How's it going, neighbor?
I'm going to paint my house. You better clear out.
You gonna paint your house with explosives? That's crazy.
All 5 mortars are ready to fire.
I think we're good to go. Let's get out of here.
And Jamie is as proud as punch.
This is one of the most wonderful things about the work, is that oftentimes we're allowed to do things that nobody else has ever done before.
Back in the bunker, and Jamie's creation gets a MythBuster moniker.
The flower of death.
Los flores de los muertos.
That's it.
This is it. With the system hot, the flower of death loaded,
5,
Jamie just needs
4,
to count backwards.
3, 2, 1.
The remote cameras take one for the team, but the force of the blast means the pictures are inconclusive, and the view from the bunker is Jamie's pyramids ain't so great.
The window looks pretty red.
And it doesn't look like it did what I wanted it to do from here. But let's go find out.
That's horrible. Dude.
That is not at all effective.
No, it's actually a fantastic way to do abstract expressionist painting. This is a masterpiece in here. I swear to God. Really, this is Jackson Pollock. Through and through and through. Each wall actually is like a different phase of his career.
Adam is obviously talking complete Pollock. Let's see if Jamie has some science for us.
The only thing that I can see that's some sort of indication what actually happened is that we've got more or less a vertical stripe here, a vertical stripe here, a vertical stripe here. I mean, it did directionalize the paint, it just didn't spread it.
There was direction, but each of the 5 colors hit its target wall with a splat rather than a spray. So Adam's patchy undercoat of green is still clearly visible. Basically, you won't be picking up Jamie's flower of death or Adam's bag of paint at your local hardware store anytime soon.
With another couple of days and 4 or 5 more full-scale explosions, we might get pretty close to something that did some kind of reasonable, complete coverage of the walls, but it's still going to leave debris and shrapnel and all sorts of stuff. This proves to me that there is no way to viably paint your house with explosives, much as you would like to try. So, our experiment in home improvement with dynamite, painting with explosives, what's the verdict?
Mr. Bean version, busted. Our version was also busted.
Yeah, I think the best that can be said about what we achieved was that you found a stunning way to make instant modern art.
Yep, but it's still busted.
Yeah, it's busted.